Internet. My name is Joel. This is my friend Steve Duda, and we're actually going to go under the hood of my track called Imaginary Friends on the Razor Blade Stealth TM. In this first part of a two-part video, we're going to look at some of the melodic structure, if you will, of the track, and check it out. We're actually going to go under the hood of my track called Imaginary Friends on the Razor Blade Stealth TM. In this first part of the two-part video, we're going to look at some melodic structure of the track. I flew Steve up here because Steve actually knows a lot more about kind of the technology under the hood and stuff like that, so I figured he could help out with some of his insight in there. I'm a bit of a musician, not a frickin' Liberace, and definitely not Pharrell. I could not tell you what that note is on that piece of paper, but together, I think we could offer some cool little bits of advice that may or may not help you on your way to creating an EDM banger. We're parked up on this Razor Blade Stealth here, which is actually performing quite good with the Universal Audio Apollo Twin. We've been playing with it all day, no major latency issues at all, really, and what we've managed to do is pull one of my tracks off my usual DAW and stick it all on this laptop, and we got the project in here. As you can see, I'm just gonna clicky click bob a trick. There you go, look at all those channels. It's a big, ugly mess. You can. See, that's why I flew Steve up here. You can alt-click, and there you go. I did not know that. I really, literally just learned that. So this whole thing here is the track. It's currently occupying about 40 channels of random stuff. And the track's called Imaginary Friends. We did consolidate some stuff just to save a little bit of CPU and some libraries that were on other hard drives that we couldn't like port over in a hurry, so that's just the way it is. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of do a quick run through about like, you know, how the track was made, how the process of creating it, and then maybe go into a little bit of mixing and mastering, if you will. So let's get started.
I've seen you be in the studio and not try to make a track from start to finish, but on some days you'll just come up with melodies or chords or something like that, and then maybe at a later time you'll reevaluate those and come back and maybe like fill it out with pick a sound for it and build it up into a track. Is that kind of what happened here? Did you start with like a simple idea?
Yeah, absolutely. So like Steve said, more often than not, I want to say 80% of my creation time, as some of you are fans and watch my streams and just see me goofing around, is literally just coming up with tons of phrases and melodies and stuff like that, with no drums, no, you know, I don't set out to make a track from start to finish. Some people do. I don't. And that's just my method. And one idea that kind of struck me for this track was actually an old track called 71C. And I'm just going to loop this section here. This was the melody. And that's just my method. And one idea that kind of struck me for this track was actually an old track called 71C. This section, which was really simple, and I mean, I could have taken that 1,000,001 different directions, I'm sure. But as I kind of went in, I start to stack melodic components to it, like, say, strings, and bass. And then all the way up to using Serum as an arpeggiator on top of all that. And so as you start to stack on that phrase or that 8, 16, 32 or whatever you want kind of theme, you just keep stacking, stacking, stacking. And the process of creating a track is essentially just, you know, bringing in and taking out those parts. So in theory, yeah, you could write the whole track in 32 bars or however long your phrase is and have it, you know, at its fullest with all its drums and all of the bells and whistles that where you think, you know, the track peaks out or before the drop. That's kind of how I start.
So you build up kind of cycling over a shorter amount of time, and then once you sort of feel like there's something bigger, you're going to kind of duplicate that in time, and then make changes or start arranging bigger structure for the song.
Right. And as it is with EDM, I mean, it's no secret that, you know, a lot of it is, you know, sort of, you know, cycles and variations of like repetition. You know? So as to follow the formula that, you know, you're going to have, you know, peaks and drops, but have that consistency across the whole, like, on average, I guess, 6 to 10-minute long track. You know, you're going to have your intro kind of thing, and then, you know, maybe around this neighborhood, after 65 bars, you know, your drums kind of kick in, and then you have the main, I don't know, the main dance part, I think is the correct musical tune for it. And then, you know, a little breakdown, and then back, and then outro. It's pretty formulaic in that department. And then, yeah, it's like painting, you know, you have different colors, different types of paint. And
there's a lot you can do within that framework for kind of making it sound or making an original song that sound like every other song as well. So cool. So you have basically two kind of main sections to the song. There's the parts that you just played with the melody.
It's a distilled water future. The snow.
And a hint of the root of the main melody. Carries through. Yeah, it just carries through constantly.
It's for my chloride. Chlorical. Ferrum chloride.
It doesn't sound like much, but there's really a lot going on in here. In terms of all the percussion and little lifters and bells and whistles and stuff that just kind of keeps it interesting to some degree.
Right, so building this up, is this something you typically would start with, like the kick drum?
It's neat,
I know a lot of
the
people
distilled
kind of,
water,
if you're working on like a
but
drop section, you kind of
the
build
snow
your drums up. And
It's a distilled water
yeah,
too.
Yeah. Usually it's just, you
It's
know, kind of
natural.
like, as I would do with melodies, there's
I
also
will
I create drum
add
patterns or
to this
drum buses and routines
Ferrum chloride.
that just, you know, will work with anything that you put
Because
in it. So
free.
it's like
Free water distilled.
Mr. Potato Head music to me. And you can take that how you like.
Now I will be print.
That's what it is.
It's a printed.
Mr. Potato Head EDM.
cool, so you sort of see like
PCB.
folders of samples on your hard disk, and you find like a kicker, and you find some sounds that seem to
Jam.
complement that.
Yeah, and if, of course, you know, you don't have to
Printed.
go and find this and find that. I
Will
mean,
be-
there's so many options to go in and, you know, use your
Will
own
be
synths, create your own samples.
Right, so sometimes you'll add some loops in with these drums to just sort of like flesh it all out, right? It's just
Right.
as a background kind of thing. And then I think there's some percussion you have in here too, right? That comes in as sort of like a lift to like.
Yeah. There's a what did I
Some
call it?
kinda
See,
hype
this is
or-
my naming convention, by the way. Hats and shit. I don't know. Actual shake. Ride.
So you've got a bunch of different instances playing different sounds on different beats, kind of? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so I have here like a bass crap bus, if you will. In Ableton, it's cool because you group, and then the top of the group is your bus channel. Or alternatively, you can add another audio track and then route it into it. I used to do that too, but then I just found this to be way simple. So what I do here is I have all these instances of Serum basically playing, you know, the corresponding note that I want for that kind of low-end drone. Now it sounds a little weird. Of course, if I
It's
bypass
on.
the limiter in LFO tool, which I'll explain real quick. So as you see, the limiter is not really doing much. It's just kind of taming everything and keeping it all like at the same level. And then once that's, as you can see here, it's just kind of, you know, ducking everything down like 7 dB or
Yeah.
lifting it up.
It's squashing it pretty hard. It's kind of
Yeah, it's aggressive. And then what I'm running after that is LFO tool. Because what that is doing here is it's ducking along with the kick, as I'm sure you guys all are aware of how, you know, sidechain compression works. The reason I do use LFO tool is just through the consistency of, you know, using a sample accurate envelope level to get a very consistent sound every time. So even if I rendered out, you know, like say 2 bars or half a bar or a quarter of a bar that it's going to sound the same every time.
Right. So just in case someone doesn't understand, you're using the LFO tool to basically take these bass sounds down in volume when the kick drum is happening.
Right.
And then that way the kick and the bass drum aren't sort of conflicting down in the low end.
Right.
And then so as the kick drum goes away, the bass comes back. And so they kind of get that nice back and forth.
So without the LFO tool, you're going to get a little...
Yeah, it just feels too busy. And that lets it pump. It makes the kick feel bigger too.
Because at that time, you're reducing the volume of everything but the kick. And then when you get to the master by that time, you know, a lot of kick is going through. So things like the UAD Shadow Hills compressor will, you know, squash it out a bit. Steve's OTT, just got a little, not too much, but a little bit of depth to, you know, bringing out the highs and actually not really.
Okay, well that wraps up part one of Imaginary Friends. In the next video, let's take a look at some of the bussing and mixing kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, right. Sure. Fuck it.
You see picture. Yes. Let's put here. Second. Second blue gain. For DL. process is finished, and now I put it the bus. Oh, we see the traces on this PCB. It means that water in this paper, and I may start second process. My second process is you see the picture or traces.
There's something flying in the air.
Now
And I just don't know what it could be. Smoke is flying everywhere. I'm getting the feeling it's the end.